y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am here today to talk to you about some seeds that you can directly sow into your vegetable garden right now in July in North Texas. Now I know that seems kind of crazy because July is typically super duper hot, but it is a great month to actually be able to grow quite a bit of food for yourself. So I am going to order this based on the time of the month that you need to plant these things, and there's a lot of mosquitoes, so sorry about the constant swatting. Anyway, I'm ordering this by the part of the month that you want to plant these in, and I'm going to give a little bit of information about them. I'm not going to go too in depth, but just so you kind of know if it's something that you could grow in your growing space. For example, if you're a container gardener, raised bed, in ground, etc. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the list. So first of all, by July 25th, so you have a couple of weeks to get this crop type planted, you can plant cantaloupe, watermelon, those different types of melons. Cantaloupe and the smaller melons can grow on a trellis, but watermelons, the big full-size big boys, will need a lot of space for the vines to sprawl. So in ground is the best unless you have like a really large grow bag or wide raised bed to accommodate all of those different sprawling vines. So some popular varieties of cantaloupe and watermelon for North Texas include Sugar Baby watermelon, Crimson Sweet watermelon, and Hale's Best cantaloupe. There's many other types. My own garden, I have Kajari and Hamey melons currently growing on a trellis, so don't limit yourself to just those three. I'm just giving you a few examples here. So the next crop that you can go ahead and get planted in the month of July throughout the month and into the beginning of August is going to be black-eyed peas, southern peas, and winter squash. Black-eyed peas and southern peas thrive in the heat. The hotter it is, the faster these guys grow. And they can be grown in containers, raised beds, or in ground. These are pretty quick growing, so you'll be harvesting peas daily, and they are in the pods like this, and you can kind of shell them and let them dehydrate on a tray, or you can wait until they dry on the plant. But if you harvest it before it dries, you'll continue to get more and more harvest, so just keep that in mind. It will produce all the way up until the first frost, and then it won't produce anymore. It is not frost hardy at all. A popular variety to grow in North Texas are these guys right here, the pink eye purple hull. There are a ton of other varieties. I have several other ones planted within my growing spaces as well, but this one is definitely a staple for North Texas. Now, it seems counterintuitive to plant winter squash in the middle of July, but it is called winter squash because it is a long storage variety type compared to summer squashes, where you need to eat those pretty quickly before they start deteriorating in your refrigerator. You plant these seeds in July so that those vines have time to grow and the vegetables have time to reach maturity before it is time to harvest. Some of the smaller varieties can work well on a trellis, like acorn squash, some butternut varieties, but for the most part, this is going to be another sprawling vine that needs a lot of room to spread out. Some other examples, aside from the butternut and the acorn, include spaghetti squash. All right, beginning July 15th and into August, all the way up until August 15th, you can go ahead and direct sow okra, which is one of my favorite things to grow, and pumpkins. So okra is another heat-loving crop that grows very quickly. You are definitely going to be harvesting pods daily. Sometimes in the heat of the summer, you might be harvesting twice a day. These grow really well in raised beds and in the ground. They can grow in containers, but they do a lot better if they have more space. Popular varieties include these two guys right here, Clemson Spineless and Hill Country Red. So pumpkins, like winter squash, require a lot of time to reach their maturity. So that's why you go ahead and you sow the seeds now in July. Smaller varieties can grow on a trellis, but other varieties like winter squash and watermelons, they need room to sprawl, room to spread, room to grow. Popular varieties of pumpkins grown in North Texas include jack-o'-lantern, Cinderella, and Jarradale. I apologize if I mispronounced that. I don't grow that variety, so I don't know how to say it. The miniature pumpkins, again, they grow well on the trellis, and I have a few varieties that I'm trying out this year, including Black Bear and Spark. All right, so closer to the end of the month, starting July 25th all the way through August the 25th, you can direct sow corn, cucumbers, snap pole beans, and zucchini. So, corn does best whenever it is planted in square blocks rather than direct straight rows. It reaches maturity in 60 to 100 days depending upon the variety. So if you're planting it in the August month, look for a shorter days to harvest compared to if you planted it in July. Additionally, popular varieties include Glass Gem, which is what I have right here. You can see it is little multicolored kernels there, and Silver Queen. For cucumbers, cucumbers often have a bitter flavor whenever they're harvested in the heat of the summer. But if you wait until the end of July to sow those seeds, by the time it is ready to start setting its fruit, the temperatures have lowered quite a bit and the fruit will taste a whole lot better. The vines for cucumbers. Okay, so cucumbers are a perfect candidate for trellis growing. I have seen all types of creative different climbing structures in order to grow cucumbers. So if you're wanting to make your homemade pickles, if you're wanting to make homemade pickles, build something creative, get some cucumbers planted on there starting July 25th. Popular varieties include Silver Slicer and Market More. There are a ton of other varieties, like I said earlier in the video. I'm just giving you guys a few popular examples, but please, by all means, add a lot of different variety into your garden. So snap pole beans are vining varieties of beans. So we have bush beans and then we have vining beans. I usually grow my bush beans in the spring, but at the end of the month, you can go ahead and plant these vining beans and give them some sort of climbing structure, some sort of support. Trellis is a great candidate so that they can climb and sprawl and grow and things. Now, oftentimes these are utilized as green beans, but there are shelling varieties that also grow on a vine like this. If I remember correctly, I think whenever we were growing pinto beans as a kid, they were a vining type. I might be wrong, but that's what my 12-year-old brain remembers. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please. Popular varieties of snap pole beans include Kentucky Wonder, purple potted pole, that's a lot of peas, and this guy right here, the scarlet runner bean. So every vegetable gardener's best friend and worst enemy, zucchini. Zucchini is a highly productive plant, and planting later in the season could help deter a lot of those squash pests that wipe out your plants earlier in the growing season. And I'm talking about squash bugs and squash vine borers. They are evil, and it is really hard to grow zucchini or other summer squashes in Texas because of those pests, especially if you're an organic gardener. So zucchini is a bush plant, so trellising isn't necessary, but a lot of gardeners are finding success by training it to grow vertically. So they will put like a tomato cage around it and trim the leaves as it kind of grows upwards. They are indicating that there is less pest pressure that way and they get better harvests. I have not attempted it, but a friend of mine who lives down the street from me is actually growing her squash that way, and her plants are still alive. So anecdotal evidence at best, but you know, it's always fun to experiment. At any rate, zucchini grow very, very quickly. So once they start setting their fruits, you will need to harvest daily in order to make sure that those squash don't get too big for you to utilize. Zucchini grows well in raised beds and in-ground gardens. I also had luck with it in 10-gallon grow bags or larger. You need to make sure that you have plenty of room because those plants can get very big and very leafy. Popular varieties include Black Beauty and this guy right here, the green zebra. So even though gardening in the summer can be very difficult, it is still quite possible to grow a lot of food in North Texas in the month of July. So I encourage you to go out early in the morning or late in the evening, get some seeds sown, get them watered in really well, and enjoy the harvest in a few months. That's all I have for you guys today. If you liked this video and you found it informative, please like, subscribe, comment, and do all those different YouTube things. Otherwise, until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye!